Hello, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? Coming to you from overseas. Hope everybody's well. Gonna wait for a few days. Hammered last week. When did I go last week? Week 13. Just to review that. We hit the Dallas Seattle over. No, we hit Dallas on it. No, what did we hit? I think we hit the over. Uh, had the New Orleans Detroit over. Had Atlanta the Jets under. Had Pitt Arizona under. Miami over was a big one. Denver was our lock, which won. They lost by 5, but we won with getting 9. The Rams over Cleveland. The Niner Philly game, we had it over. I don't like to play the road favorites, but they killed them. But all we were doing is laying 40, and they did 42 by themselves. KC Green Bay, that was our only loser, was KC even. How they lost to Green Bay, I don't know. Didn't play the Jacksonville Cincy game, and I was happy to see Trevor Lawrence get hurt. No, I'm not in Vegas. I'm in a different city. I'll tell you on Monday. In college, we did great in college. We had Oak State over. We had Washington, Oregon under. We had Boise, Vegas over. The only game we lost was Georgia even against Bama. We had SMU Tulane over. That was a lock. We had App State Troy over. We had LSU Florida State under. That was a lock. Michigan Iowa. We had Michigan Lane the 15, 16 points, and it did exactly what I thought they'd win in the 20s to nothing. So I didn't want to play with the over and under. This week we got Army Navy, and then we'll get into the pros. Army laying 2.5. Both teams are under. Both teams give up 22. Both teams, as we know, play low-scoring games when they play each other. So from that standpoint, since they each know each other's offenses so well, and they are the only ones who can really practice it, I'm going with the under in the game, as I did the Air Force Army game, which is 23-3. I think Army wins because looking at the offenses, they have a much better running attack than Navy does. Navy gets shut out a lot. Army beating the Air Force. So I think Army in 3.5 is good, but I'm going to go under 34.5. It's always low scoring. I don't like these low over-unders. I think they're ridiculous. Oh, you don't have it in the 30s, but it's definitely an under game. We'll get into the bowls after I do the pros. So let's look at the pros. All right, fresh off the line. I know there's a game tonight, and it's Pitt, 6:30.5 over New England. I just like the under game. You got Zappy against Trubisky. Trubisky's just horrible. Zappy we like, but I don't know what he's going to do. So I like that way. Probably under. San Diego, New England played a 6-0 game. Like, what the hell happened there? But I'm looking at Pitt laying 6. It's just, how do you trust Pittsburgh with Trubisky, right? He throws a couple picks, and all of a sudden New England wins 10-7 or something like that. So I'm going to stay off of that. Pardon me, I'm in a bar area, so not at home. So if it's a little noisy, I apologize. If you can't hear, let me know, or if it's too noisy. Cleveland 3 and 31.5. Trevor Lawrence has a high ankle sprain. There's no way he's playing. I mean, he might try it for 5 plays, which leaves C.J. Beathard, who we know sucks. So a little bit loud in here. I apologize, but I don't have any other option. Cleveland 3.5. So again, you've got. New England and Pitt. New England's a Z team, and Pitt's an under team. Zappy and Trubisky, New England with a 23 defense, Pitt with a 19 defense. So I would expect a low-scoring game. Pitt's defense, New England, good defense, and neither of them have an offense. Okay, Cleveland and Jacksonville. Cleveland, an under team with a 20 defense. Jacksonville is an even team with a 21 defense. Cleveland, it was Jacksonville lane 3, and then Trevor Lawrence is out, which, whatever. That third will be the quarterback. I'm not sure about Thompson Robinson. Initially, there was 20-mile-an-hour winds. I'll rush through this. In a bar, you got some loud people I'll have to beat the hell out of. So Cleveland 331.5. Cleveland and under with the 20 defense, and Jacksonville is an E with the 21, but without Lawrence, they're an under team. They'll take away a touchdown. Put that in your math formulas. Good luck with that one. So that's what we have. So I kind of like this game. Also, I'd probably go with the under. I don't know if you're still getting the 20-mile-an-hour winds. I'm looking at the weather. They look like they're going to be 15, 16 mile an hour. To definitely affect the game and definitely affect the throwing. So it's more of a running game, which is Army, Navy, low scoring. The Rams in Baltimore. Baltimore 7.5. 40.5, which I don't understand. Lamar missed practice with some illness. I don't know if he has the flu or if it's COVID or what the hell they're calling illness now. 7.5, 40.5. So without Lamar, I mean, this is a Ram game, and it's a very strong under game. As you can see, from 44 to 40. Now, I don't know if they're saying, well, Lamar's not playing. They're still 7.5. I mean, as long as I got Stafford going, I think the Rams are a good dog here. I'll go through who needs the games after I'm done with this. So without Lamar, with Lamar, I think it's an over pick. Without Lamar, you got to go. I don't know if you go under or just take the Rams in 13, which I liked anyway. I don't think they're too bad out of it. The Lions, 343.5 to the Bears. No, Mike Ditka's not there. 343. There was 20-mile-an-hour winds predicted, which went down to like 10-mile-an-hour winds. It is in Chicago, but the winds are not going to be the big factor that we thought they were. Detroit's an over team with the 25 defense. The Bears are an even team, but probably more of an over team also, because that doesn't include Fields in 4 or 5 of the games. And they give up 26. They played a 12-10 game with Minnesota because Dobbs threw 4 interceptions. So I don't think you'll get that with Goff. Again, you got some big wins, but not too bad. And I just think, Chicago gave them all they wanted the week before Thanksgiving, and I don't see anything different here. Detroit, again, we know has no defense. And they're a good over team, and I'd say Chicago at the 26 defense is a good over team with Fields. And he's going to run a lot, even if wind or no wind. So definitely probably play this game over. I'd be afraid to take Detroit. And the way the Bears played them and beat Minnesota, I think the Bears a 9. But again, in the wind, I think it helps the Bears. Well, Detroit will run Montgomery, but the Bears will run Fields. So, either way. But I look at it, high scoring. Carolina, the New Orleans 5.5, 37.5. I don't know if Carr's injured. Young's terrible anyway, so I don't know why he's playing. Not really sure. But anyway, looking at that, Carolina's a Z team with a 27 defense. New Orleans is an under team with a 21. Again, if Carr or it's going to be Winston, who really sucks. So with Winston, I can't count on them to win. As most of these games, you cannot pick the winner, so you go to a lot more over-unders. And I would say this is, well, it's hard to say because if New Orleans has Carr, I think they win. Just because Carolina's defense is so bad, and it's hard to go under with the team with the 27 defense, especially with the 37, and it's in a dome, so there's no wind. So that's a tough one there. We'll see if Carr is going to play or not. Atlanta 2.5, 40.5. That one was 1.5, so now it's 2.5. Was 39.5 up to 40.5. You got Mayfield against the Riddler. You know how I feel against Riddler. Both teams are under teams. Tampa Bay gives up 21. Atlanta's always under 20, especially with Riddler at quarterback. They don't score a lot. Mayfield's Mayfield. He's okay, nothing special. Their defense, again, the worst coach in the league, still goes to this guy here at Tampa. I mean, if you can't win with Tom Brady, you're not winning with Baker Mayfield. So looking at that, I do like I think it's an under. I would, again, it's hard to take Atlanta to win or Tampa to win. It's very hard. But I think they do tend to play under games. And with Riddler, well, where's the point? Cincinnati, what the hell's going on here? I don't get it. Cincinnati is now a 1.5 point favorite with an over-under of 43.5 against Indy. Minshew against O'Connell. Strong wins here. We're 20 are probably back down to 15 or 13. And I don't think a 15-mile-an-hour wind really affects pros. I'm sure a little bit, maybe on the kicks, but I don't think these guys have trouble with it. So Cincy 1.5, 43. The Indy's an over team, although Taylor's out. Give up 24, and since he's an under team, especially without Burrow, and a 22 defense. Now Browning looked really good last week. As I say, that first week they look good. Then they get the tape on you, and then all of a sudden they know your strengths and weaknesses. So I don't see Browning playing like a superstar this week. Indy seems to play well. They seem to score. They seem to have wide receivers open all over the place. I like Indy as a dog here with Minshew against Browning, and the win will help them. Probably an over, but I don't trust Browning. Too new, not enough information. I doubt he lights it up this week. But Indy, I think, is a live dog if it's just Taylor out. I'll have to check the injuries. All right, Alex, you're Houston against the Jets's. Houston's 3.5. They were 4.5. They're falling fast. And 33.5. Up from third. They were 34, 32, 33.5. Houston's an E team with a 21 defense. So they got a pretty good defense. They held Denver pretty good. I saw that last drive. The incompletions and then the interception in the end zone. So they look pretty good. But I would have ran the ball if I was Denver with Russell Wilson running that, the veer where he fakes it into the fullback, pulls the ball and runs around that. I think that's the best offense for them in the goal line. I don't think anybody can stop it. So Houston, again, 3.5. The Jets are going back to Wilson. They tried Boyle. He didn't work, and now he's gone. And I'm like, why did you try Boyle? Did you not see him suck in the Lions? And he was terrible last year. Why would you even look at him? You're wasting games. You got fucking Aaron Rodgers waiting to come back, and you're giving games away with Boyle. You're too stupid. Well, we've got to see what we've got. No, you don't. Either he sucks or he doesn't suck. That's what I don't get. I know they suck. Why do they need to see it to know, yeah, he does suck? Just listen to me. So the Jets are an under, both 21 defenses. Stroud against Wilson. I'll tell you, if it was Boyle or Stinahan, I would have went on Houston. They looked pretty good beating Denver. But against Wilson, I kind of am laying away from that, almost back on the Jets's, because with Wilson, you got a good quarterback. He's going to get you points. Houston's defense is good, but now they're at the Jets. There's going to be a 15-mile-an-hour wind, which is going to hurt, which goes to the defense. So I wouldn't be too surprised if the Jets hang in there. I'm not back on their wagon, but Let's see, but I'm not. I think this is an under, and it's been going back up 33 and a half. So you go under 40, 39 and a half. I think that gets it because Houston played a really low scoring game with Denver, who's got a similar defense to the Jets. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is a low 20 game. Uh, Frisco and Seattle. Frisco 10 and a half and 46 and a half. Well, we saw the Niners. They're the A team, 16 defense. Seattle's the E team with a 24 defense. Smith against Purdy. All the receivers are good, but Walker's questionable, and Charbonneau. So both their running backs, like it matters, and then everybody's healthy for the Niners. Now, they got the big win against Philly. Is there a letdown here? Now, they are still going for the 1 seed. So now they're 2 games behind. Well, it's kind of silly to beat Philly and then let down against Seattle. They beat them 31-13 Thanksgiving, 10 and a half. I don't know. I'm leaning lay the 4.5, and then 46 and a half. Frisco scores a lot of points. They're the A team, but they scored with McCaffrey. And against Seattle with the 24. I think this is an over, even though with the Frisco defense. But I don't know. I don't know how much Seattle's going to help us. So let's say 31-13 again. So it's a 44. I don't think it's going to be much different. So I think Frisco at home, needing the win again. Otherwise, the point of beating Philadelphia didn't make any sense. So I think they score a lot here, and I think you can go over or lay the 4.5. Minnesota and Oakland, Super Bowl 1976. We got John Madden's going to be coaching against whatchamacallit, the ice guy. 3-40 and a half. Minnesota's an E team with a 20 defense. Oakland's an under with a 21. Dobbs against O'Connell. I mean, seriously, guys, these are pro quarterbacks, really. Dobbs throws 4 picks against the Bears with their 26 defense. I don't know how you take Mini here, -3 to +3 in Oakland with Dobbs. I mean, how do you trust Dobbs? What's he going to throw you? 4 more interceptions? Oakland with O'Connell, you can't trust him, which is what we're running into. A lot of quarterbacks you can't trust. I think the only way to play this is under 46 and a half. This shouldn't get anywhere near there. Then he's playing fairly good defense. The 20 shows you. And so is Oakland with Aaron Pierce. They're playing better defense. And a little bit of offense from Jacobs and the receiver. But again, you got O'Connell throwing it. And Mini with Dobbs. Jefferson is back. So if Oakland was a 3, I would take Mini a 9 with Jefferson back. But you can't go and play a road favorite with Joshua Dobbs at quarterback. You're not gonna make any money that way. I think it's an under game. San Diego 2.5, 43.5 to Denver. Denver's actually a B team. After I took out the 70 for Miami and replaced it with a 30. So they gave up 70 points to San Diego, to Miami. So I just forgot that game. And I started with the next game. I said, let's look at their defense. And it's like a 20 defense, 20-21. And San Diego is a 21 defense. San Diego's an over team. And Denver is a B team. They're a better team. Russell Wilson and Herbert. I think it gets to the coach, and I'd rather have Sean Payton than the San Diego coach. I just like the dog here. I think worried about. Okay, I guess I was off and back. All right. So that's where I'm at with Denver as a live dog here. They're the better team getting points. San Diego doesn't look too sharp. Kansas City 1.5, 48.5. To Buffalo. KC looks terrible. They lost a bunch of defensive players. That's what cost them against Green Bay. Buffalo's an A team with an 18 defense. Even though their record's not good, they're playing a lot of good teams, and they're playing well. I keep back. So I think I am okay. All right. If I'm not, let me know. But it says I'm successfully connected. My mic's working. So KC's really a B team. They're not scoring. They don't have any receivers. Buffalo's an 18 defense, and he's a 17. Josh Allen against Mahomes. And 1.5, 48.5. I mean, I like Buffalo as the dog here because I don't see KC really killing them. Buffalo really needs the game. KC has the division lead, but Buffalo 6-6, desperately needing the game. And again, I think this is an under game at 48.5 because KC's not going to score for you. KC's not putting up 40 points in this game, and both defenses are strong. Now, the key is KC's defense. Are they getting? They lost so many players last week. So if they aren't back, Buffalo is going to win easily. They are back. It's still, I like the dog and the under in the game. Philly and Dallas, game of the week. Dallas, 3.5, 51.5. Philly, the over team. They're not an A team. They're an over team with a 24 defense. Dallas is an A team with an 18 defense. Parsons. Hurts against Prescott. I obviously like Philly as the dog. Now, they got killed by the Niners. So you might be a little bit like skeptical. Oh, Philly, now you can't look at last week's game to this week. I don't believe it. I do like the over in the game, 51. Philly is an over team. Hurts will score. They'll get in the 30s. And they played a 28-23 game. They played a 51 in Philly a few weeks ago. And I looked for the similar score here. They know how to score on Dallas. They will. And Dallas, I'm sure, will score on Philly. Maybe they took notes on what the Niners did. But I think that I think you can either go Philly in 9.5. Can't trust Prescott. And McCartney, I guess, had a whatchamacallit, appendix. So he'll probably be there, but he's not well. Well, maybe it'll be better. He's terrible anyway. But Hurts against Prescott, I think it's an even game. Take the dog. Philly's the better team with the Madoff play and also over. I think Philly plays high-scoring games as the Buffalo game. Even Niners was a high-scoring game. Miami, 13.5, 46.5. I don't understand this spread. My spread's 6. Where's Miami 13? Miami's not playing Carolina. They're not playing Washington. This is the point that people miss is when these teams play the Z teams and they light them up. They still think Miami's good, not against Tennessee. Now, Levis isn't great, and Henry's questionable, but I would imagine he's playing. But how the hell do you lay 13? This is an easy Tennessee in 19. They have a strong defense, and we know when Tug goes against a strong defense, he doesn't show up. Tennessee should be able to score a little with Levis. DeAndre Hopkins is playing. I'm sure Henry plays. Tennessee with the 21 defense, Miami with the 22. Over under 47. It's hard to go under. I think we got to see if Henry plays for the over under. If Henry plays, they're going to probably give him the ball 50 times. I would, and just let them run it down their throats. I don't see Miami putting up 50 points in this game. Not against this defense, and the coach is too strong of a coach. He'll keep everything in front. He'll put some pressure on Tig. So I like Tennessee in 19.5. I think that's the biggest joke on the board. Miami is not a 13-point favorite over anybody in the league. Maybe Carolina and Washington. But if you're looking at the Washington and Carolina games, the way they just played them, thinking, oh, they're going to put up 50 here, you're out of your minds. That's why you got to understand these are Z teams with no defenses. But when they play Buffalo and Kansas City, teams with strong defense, they didn't do anything. They got like 14 points. And last but not least, Green Bay 6.5 and 37 to the New York Giants. Green Bay is an under team with the 20 defense, so they play pretty good defense. You got Love against Danny DeVito. You've got a Z team in the Giants with a 25 defense. Now I know Jones is out, but AJ Dillon will play, and the receivers are there. That one guy might not play, but it didn't seem to matter. You just beat Kansas City. Green Bay needs the game. I think Green Bay -6 is an easy one here at even. 36.5. I almost think it's an over because DeVito will score a little and then Green Bay, but I think Green Bay just shuts them down. The way Love is playing, I think this is an easy Green Bay one. So I think where this spread should be 9 or 10, and the Miami spread should be 9 or 10. So that's what they're at. So those are your pro plays for Sunday. I've got 4 locks going out of this mess, and I got to choose a free play. Let's choose free play. Let's go Minnesota under free play. Minnesota, Oakland. We can choose that. Yeah. I think that's the best. Or maybe Tennessee in 15 and 19. Haven't decided. Let's see if Henry plays. So let's go through who needs the games, right? Whose backs are against the wall. So if we look at it, in the NFC, Philly, Detroit, and Frisco, really their backs aren't against the wall. They're winning their division. I would say Frisco's backs against the wall a little bit more because they're trying to catch the 1 seed. They beat Philly, so they really need this game. Detroit, they're just happy that they're not 3 and 13. And Philly they don't need it. They're 10 and 1, 11 and 1. Dallas is trying to catch Philly, so they need the game to get the lead. Minnesota and Green Bay have 6 wins, so they need it. Atlanta, Tampa, New Orleans is trying to win the division, and it looks like that's it. They're 5 and 7, so they're not going to catch a while. And then LA and Seattle are both 6 and 6. So you've got right now Philly, Detroit, Frisco, and Dallas are your 4 in. Then you got 2 more wild cards, right? You got 3 wild. No. Yeah, you got 3 wild. The Atlanta division will get in. Dallas has the 1 wild card. So we're looking for 2 wild cards. And we've got mini Green Bay and LA Seattle, both at 6 and 6. So they all 4 are going. Minis at Oakland, Green Bay's got the Giants, the Rams are at Baltimore, and Seattle's at Frisco. So good luck to Seattle. So those are your playoff teams in the NFC. Let's go to the AFC. Miami, Jacksonville, Kansas City, and Baltimore are the division leads. And they're all like 8 and 3, and then I think one's 9 and 3. The teams that really need it are Buffalo at 6 and 6, Pitt and Cleveland are 7 and 5, and Cincinnati 6 and 6. And then you got Indy and Houston at 7 and 5, and then we got Denver, San Diego, and Oakland at I think 7 and 5 or 6 and 6. So there's a big Pitt, Cleveland, Cincy, Indy, Houston, Denver, San Diego, and Oakland playing for the 3 wild cards. Oh, and Buffalo. So KC's kind of got a 2-game lead over Denver, I think. Jacksonville now with Lawrence out. Here comes Indy and Houston for the division lead. And then for Miami, Buffalo, they got a 3-game lead over Buffalo, so they don't need the game at all. And Baltimore is a 2-game lead over Pitt and Cleveland. And Cincinnati's in there, but I doubt Browning's going to place that far over his head again. So Buffalo's almost at do or die. And against KC, a team they match up very well with, who doesn't have any receivers. So Buffalo, we know will score on them. I don't know how many injuries KC. They lost a lot in the game. I'm watching, wondering how they're losing to Green Bay. And then all of a sudden, here comes Buffalo, if they're lucky enough to catch these defensive players out, that makes it really good. So that's kind of where who needs the game. So the biggest back against the wall, I think, is Buffalo. Pitt and Cleveland are tied. So no matter what happens, it'll either be a game back or tied again. Cincy, I can't imagine Browning having this game over his head. Burrow, we know, but not Browning. Don't get caught up in these one-game wonders because the defense doesn't know what they're getting. Then all of a sudden, the defense, excuse me. Yeah, it doesn't matter where I am. The computer makes me sneeze. Maybe I'm allergic to the screen. So with that going on, Buffalo 6-6 are a game behind Pitt, Cleveland, Denver, San Diego at 7-5. So, and Houston, Indy are 7-5, and Pitt and Cleveland. So Buffalo's a game behind 4 teams. So they must win. If KC's defensive guy, even if they play, how good are they? Buffalo needs it. Von Miller's out, I think, and obviously they lost Milano, but it's all Josh Allen, and this is their do or die right here. So definitely think Buffalo is a very live dog here. Pitt and Cleveland, I mean, here's where we got our injuries. So let's go through it. We got Zappe against Trubisky tonight. 5:30? So they're on at 8 o'clock. It's on at 8:15. We've got Mayfield and Riddler. So Riddler we know sucks. We've got Goff and Fields, pretty even. Minshew against Browning. We have no idea who Browning is. This is not the same guy. I saw the box score. He threw 11 passes to Chase. Well, I would think if you're Indy, you got 3 guys on Chase. You would think. So this would be interesting. I think Indy wins this game. They seem to be able to get guys open with Minshew. It's just crazy. Now, Lawrence and DTR, this is a rough game. I don't know that either of them play. DTR's got a concussion protocol. Lawrence with the hurt ankle, what's he going to do in the game? And if he can't go, Beathard goes. So this over-under is 31 and a half. That's a low number, but I don't think I'd go under, but I would in a teaser. 37 and a half. If I can get to 40, it's a good under. 37 and a half is a little bit light, but I can't bet. Well, what if DTR can't go? Wilson's out. You got Flacco. I told you Flacco. You can't just throw a quarterback in, especially him. He's not good anyway. Now, if Lawrence is out, he runs. That means questionable. A lot of injuries on Jacksonville, so I think Cleveland wins. They got that killer defense. I wouldn't be surprised if it's one of those 17-0 Cleveland wins. Carolina, we got Vince Young against Carr, who's questionable. If you don't have Carr, you got Winston, which is a real big drop-off, although he's still better than Young. Again, Carolina's the Z team. So if you get Carr, you could probably take New Orleans in a must-win game even. If he's out, you probably maybe go under. But, see, you want to take advantage of this 27 defense of Carolina, which you can do with Carr and Olave, but you can't with Winston. Who knows what team he throws to. Houston and the Jets, Stroud against Wilson. Pretty good game. Should be a good game. L.A., Baltimore, Stafford. Now, Lamar has an illness. We don't know what the illness is. Should he miss the game? I don't know. That seems a bit far-fetched that he would miss the game. But we'll see how, at the time of the game, no matter how ill are you. So I think he goes. If he goes, I think it's a high-scoring game. And if he doesn't go, then I like the Rams at 13.5. So we'll wait. We'll see Saturday. We'll probably know. And as soon as if he's out, jump on the 13.5 before the line moves. If he's in, jump on the over before the line moves. It's only at 40. So all you got to do is go over 34. Now, this is supposed to be windy, and I'll do the wind games in a minute. Minnesota, Oakland, Dobbs, and O'Connell, two MAC conference type quarterbacks. Seattle, Frisco, Smith against Purdy. Buffalo, Kansas City, Allen against Mahomes. Two superstars. Denver, San Diego, Wilson and Herbert, another good matchup. Philly, Dallas, Hurts against Prescott. How many interceptions will Prescott throw, especially against Philly? Tennessee, Miami, it looks like Levis against Tag. And the question is, Henry playing, and then Green Bay, the Giants, Love against DeVito. DeVito doesn't look that bad. He's got like 7 touchdowns and 3 picks in a couple of games. Love looks like he's coming on. The Giants with the 25 defense. So if you're looking really, it's the Green Bay 20 defense. Now let's look at the win. We got Chicago, Detroit. Was a 20 mile an hour. It's probably down to 15. Probably less. Probably won't affect the game. Cincinnati is also about a 15 mile an hour wind. Cleveland, 15 to 20 mile an hour. That'll even make that game more under if Trevor Lawrence doesn't play. The Jets, it's a 10 to 15 mile an hour game. Shouldn't have that big of an effect. Baltimore, KC, looks like it's a 15 to 20 mile an hour wind. Shouldn't have that much of an effect. They'll just adjust the passes. And that's it. So those 5 games are really the Giants should not have a big win game. And then you got your indoor. So, Detroit, Chicago is supposed to be really windy. Doesn't look like it will be. At least as of now. I looked at it earlier in the week. I'm wondering why all these really low unders. So it must be weather, because I looked. I didn't find injuries in Detroit, Chicago. It was like 50, and then it went down to like 41 or 40. And I'm going, shit, this is an easy over. Detroit's an over, Chicago's an over. And then I caught the wind going, okay, so I got to wait. And then the wind slowed down, so that's good. So that's your pros. So tonight I just took under in the Pitt New England game. Just because you don't have a quarterback on the field. Zappe's probably better than Trubisky, and you got the Pitt defense, and New England held San Diego to 6 points. I don't know what that was about. So it was a 6-0 game. So, yeah, it's 30, go under 36. I don't know. It's, it'd probably be one of these. I got 13-10 New England. That's the only score I put in so far. So then again, we talked Army, Navy. Army 2.5, 28.5. You got to go under in this game. I know it's low, 28.5, but Navy, they can't score on anybody. Army's, the best they did was play Air Force 23-3 on some turnovers. I don't even think it'll be that high because Navy's not going to throw the ball. Army has better running, looking at 2 or 3 good running backs in their team, but Navy knows all the plays. So I see this, and you're going to get win, right? It's in Philadelphia. And you're getting win on the East Coast Sunday. I'm sure you're getting win. So this looks like a really good under 28.5. So go Army, beat Navy, and go unders. Let's have a big win. Let's have a 70 mile an hour win there. All right, the bowl games. The only player I know sitting out so far is Caleb. I wouldn't draft them because of that. You're letting your team down. Now, again, they've only won 4 or 5 games. I don't know why they're in a bowl game, but I wouldn't draft. That shows no desire to win, no chemistry. You're letting your team down. So I really wouldn't be all over him there. But he's the only one. There's some receiver out of A&M. Who gives a shit? All right, let's go through the line I pulled this morning. So we start on the 16th. We got Ohio against Georgia Southern. Ohio 2.5, 54. Luloff 1.5, 57.5 to Jackson State, which should be a good game. App State, Miami of Ohio. App State 4.5, 51. but Miami of Ohio, the one that just beat Toledo. So what they're doing is they seem to be putting an over team with an under team because Miami, App State's an over team, Miami of Ohio's an under team. Like, what the fuck? Ohio's an under team and Georgia Southern's an over. Fresno State, New Mexico State. Fresno State 1.5, 51. I mean, there I probably like my New Mexico State or an over if Mikey Keene plays. UCLA, Boise, interesting game. UCLA 3 and 48. And over Boise, who's been playing well. UCLA with the tough defense. Boise should give them trouble. They beat my Vegas team. Cal and Texas Tech. Cal 1.5, 58 over Texas Tech. This looks like the over game. Texas Tech runs a little bit more, but they don't have that great a defense. Cal, we know, is the over team. They're favored by 1.5. I was hoping to get Texas Tech favored, and then I could jump on Cal as a dog. But this is definitely an over. Then on the 18th, we got Western Kentucky 4.5, 37. I have no idea. Probably Old D getting 10.5. Then the 19th, we got UTSA and Frank Harris 9.5, 54 to Marshall. UTSA is way the better team here. Will Frank Harris sit out? I don't imagine. See, in these, you don't sit out these guys. You sit out Caleb Williams or, well, maybe Bo Nix, although I hope not. Penix is in the playoffs, so there. Ark State 1.5, 52 to Northern Illinois. I got to study that more. Ark State wasn't that good and then started to score. Maybe they changed quarterbacks. I don't know. This is the 23rd. On the 22nd, we got Syracuse 3.5, 61 to South Florida. Love South Florida here, and we'll see about the over. Probably an over game. 23rd, UCF 4.5, 63 to Georgia Tech. This should be way over that. This is an 80-point game. UCF just scores, and Georgia Tech, we know how good they are, and they can score, and they put up 20 on Georgia. I mean, that's a big thing. So this will be one of those 54, 53 games. So go over. Troy and Duke. Troy 44.5 over Duke. We love Troy, but I don't know. Maybe this is an under game. That's 7 over Duke. Now Riley Leonard, we know, is injured, but they got the defense now. How much does Duke play in the game is the other question. Back to the 23rd, we've got James Madison in the Air Force. What a good game that is. James Madison, 3.5, 42. Now, if the quarterback plays for Air Force, I like Air Force in 9.5. If he doesn't, it's probably an under game because Air Force has a really strong defense, and so does James Madison. So this is a very good defensive game. If I get the Air Force quarterback, I think it's Zettler, then I definitely like the Air Force. I like the Air Force getting 9.5. I think they're very strong. And last but not least, Georgia State, and Utah State. Utah State 1.5, 61. Georgia State's really a terrible team. I like Utah State. They're pretty good. The 23rd. All right, now we go to the 24th. South Alabama, Eastern Michigan. South Alabama, 15.5, 47. I have no idea. Eastern's very bad. I don't even know why they're in this. See, you play the high school teams, and then you get in, but they shouldn't count those games. It's so stupid. I think South Alabama is much better. Utah, this is an interesting one. 6.5, 42 to Northwestern. Northwestern started playing better. Utah, we know their story. No Cam Rising, great defense. I don't see the defense not playing. And the backup quarterback, God knows he needs to work. I think Utah beats them pretty good. Maybe under 42, but I think I like Utah here. This is a mismatch. San Jose State, 9.5, 55 to Coastal Carolina. It's either an over game or San Jose State. I got to see how good Coastal Carolina is. They lost McCall to a concussion. Let's see if he's playing. If McCall plays, this is an over. If he doesn't play, I like San Jose State. The 26th, we've got Bowling Green, Minnesota. Minnesota 4.5, 37. Good luck on that. I got to see how bad Bowling Green is. I know Minnesota sucks. 37 over under. I mean, I don't know. Texas State 4.5, 60 to Rice. If I got Rice's quarterback, this is an easy over. I can't remember. I think it's Daniels. If I don't, Texas State's very explosive. Rice, very explosive. So if I got them, then it's a good over game. Kansas and Vegas, my favorite game. Kansas 11.5, 64 against Vegas. This is an easy over. I'm not fucking with Kansas here. Although I might take Vegas in 17.5. I think Kansas goes up and down the field with their great offense. They don't have a great defense. Vegas has a good offense. So this is definitely a strong over now. And I don't think Bean's going to go pro and miss the game. And I don't think anybody on Vegas is like, say, hey, yeah, we're going pro. Maybe pro is the blackjack dealers and the crap dealers. Louisville 7.5, 57 to USC. We got no Caleb. We don't know who the backup is. Louisville, strong defense without Caleb. I think this is an under because without Caleb, they're not scoring 40 a game. And Louisville has a strong defense. They still played Florida. This is what I don't get. Florida State gets screwed because nobody understands Louisville's got a 19 defense. So even Jordan Travis would have had a hard time. You think Jordan Travis would have put up 35 on Louisville? No fucking way. See, if Jordan Travis beats them 16-6 during the playoff, but because the third stringer does it, oh, well, he's not that good. He only got 16 on him. Against this defense, that's all you're going to score. Look at the Notre Dame game. They didn't get 16 on them, and they didn't win. Florida State totally gets fucked here, and it's just a shame. We'll get to that in a minute. But here, Louisville, USC, I think it's actually an under without Caleb. It's very disappointing that he quits. And then why would you draft a quitter? See, that's when these guys quit because they're afraid to get hurt. Well, what are they going to do in the pros? They're going to be afraid to get hurt and not play. So I wouldn't draft Caleb. You're drafting heart and pride. That's what you're drafting. Does the guy have heart and pride? Like Brock Purdy, not the greatest quarterback. He's got heart. He plays and he wins. And I'd rather have a Purdy than a Caleb. I know Brock's going to play, and Caleb, I don't know when he's going to. You know what? My foot hurts. I got to sit out for 4 weeks. So look for that game under A&M and Oak State. A&M 3.5 over Oak State. 53. It's all up to Ollie. If Ollie plays, I like Oak State getting 9.5, and it's certainly an over game with Ollie. I think it's Ollie Davis, but by far the best running back in college football, and as I say, the best player. He can win the game by himself as long as he's playing. I'm on Oak State. NC State, Kansas State. We're on the 28th now. Kansas State 3.5, 47. I love Kansas State here, and I don't think Will Hard's going to sit down. Kansas State's much the better team. Virginia Tech against Tulane. Very good game. Virginia Tech 7.5, 46.5. I like Tulane. Tulane's a better team. Now they're probably looking at the SMU game going, SMU's got a good fucking defense, better than Virginia Tech's. I like Tulane here as a dog. And then North Carolina, West Virginia. West Virginia 3.5, 56. You gotta love the game over. West Virginia's got a great quarterback. Good running quarterback. North Carolina, May's not that good. Don't get fooled on him. He's another Trubisky. I mean, maybe. I don't even know if he's that good. So West Virginia, 3.5, 56. This is easily over 50. with these two teams. Let's see. All right, the 28th, we're starting. Yeah. Arizona 2.5, 63 over Oklahoma. I don't know if Gabriel is playing. Another loser. How do you not play? This is an excellent game if you would play. Arizona 2.5, 63. Arizona's got a killer defense. If Gabriel doesn't play, this is under. If Gabriel plays, this is take Oklahoma in 8.5. So how serious does Oklahoma want to play? If he plays, take them. If he doesn't, it's an under game by far because Oklahoma's backup quarterback ain't going to do shit against this defense. We got SMU 10.5, 50 to Boston College. You don't have Stone. He broke his leg, so it's not like he can come back. You got that great defense, and they killed Tulane, which was shocking. I would have to go under in the game as SMU's defense is going to just kill them. And based on the way the quarterback, they might run the ball all over them. Rutgers, Miami. Miami 2.5, 41. Van Dyke, I think, is transferring to LSU. I don't know. Bobby, did he transfer? I like Rutgers in 8.5 because I hate the coach. Anybody that's stupid not to take a knee, no, I won't shut up about it. Anybody that's stupid, I can't bet on. I can't bet on idiots. So that's where I'm at with it. So anyway, Rutgers, good team. Maybe an under. Rutgers plays defense and runs, so you can maybe go under with it also. The 29th, we got Notre Dame 8.5, 44 to Oregon State. Ooglia Booglia. What do you do with the Ooglias? Now, Oregon State, Washington, Oregon, Washington State, USC, Utah, great schedule. Notre Dame, all the big games they lost. Louisville, and they lost to Clemson, lost to Ohio State. I mean, they're incredibly bad coach with Hartman on the team. Over under 44. They got a good defense, as does Oregon State, and I can't bet Oogly Boogly to score a lot. So I almost think this is an under because Oregon's defense, obviously Notre Dame doesn't know how to call plays. I almost like Oregon State in 14.5, but again, we got to bet on Oogly Boogly, and I'm not comfortable. Clemson 7 over Kentucky 47. I gotta like Kentucky. They beat fucking Louisville. And now, did Louisville need the game? I think they did. I think they still had a shot for the playoff, maybe. Had they beaten Clemson or Florida State, would have been a big thing. I think Kentucky, by beating Louisville, can definitely hold in there with Clemson, who's not all that good. So, live dog with Kentucky. Memphis and Iowa State. Iowa State 757. Gotta like Iowa State here. They really came on. They started scoring. We know they have the big defense. Memphis just isn't as strong as Iowa State here. Missouri 1.5, 48. What the hell's going on with Ohio State? Is McCord transferring? Does that mean he doesn't play? I'm not clear of that. Based on this line, first line I had Ohio State 7. I was all over Missouri. Now it's Missouri 1.5, and I'm still all over Missouri. 47 or 1.5, 48. Missouri, excellent team. Gave Georgia all they wanted. I really don't know. I mean, this is just really a tease the dog. But if McCord's out, then I got to go with Missouri in 4.5. Ole Miss against Penn State. Penn State 3.5, 49. They're okay. They beat all the bad teams until they got to Michigan and Ohio State. Ole Miss, same thing. Until they got to Alabama, they didn't do shit. Well, they did against everybody but Alabama. Penn State usually does well in these bowl games. Ole Miss, maybe an over here. 49, I think that's pretty low. On the 30th again, we got Auburn 1.5, 49, 2.5, 49 to Maryland. What do you do with it? Auburn 2.5 to Maryland. It's just, it should be a close game. I mean, Auburn had Alabama beat, but that's about it. They did lose to New Mexico State. So Maryland, I don't know. I have a hard time betting Maryland. 49, maybe go under with Auburn's defense, but really a hard game. My Georgia, 14-45. This is the real playoff game against Florida State. This should be the third game of the playoff. And Ohio State, Missouri could be the fourth game. Georgia, 14-45. Are they going to play? Florida State, they got their third string quarterback. They're not going to score, but they got a great defense. I think you go under 51 in this game, remembering Florida State's defense and no quarterback, and Georgia going against this defense. I don't see a lot of scoring by Georgia. I don't know if the Hurt's in it. There's some transfer portals, but I don't know when they transfer. We'll have to see a little bit more. Right now, it's an under game. Toledo, Wyoming. Wyoming 2.5, 44 over Toledo. Toledo lost to Miami in the championship, MAC championship. Wyoming, they're not that good. I like Toledo as a dog here, getting 8.5. As long as they're not injured. 44, probably an under in this game too. Wyoming always plays defense. January 1st, Wisconsin against LSU. Bobby's game. LSU laying 10, 55. Take LSU. As long as Jalen Daniels plays, they'll kill Wisconsin because they won't stop them. And Wisconsin can't score as bad as LSU defense. Maybe you go over with Mordecai 49 because LSU does have the bad defense. But I think LSU only laying 4 with Daniels. It's not gonna be pretty for Wisconsin. Liberty, Oregon, a very interesting game. Liberty can score, but they're outclassed. Oregon minus 15-65. Is Bo Nix going to play, and are they going to try? This is the problem in a bowl game. If it is, then they definitely you got to take Oregon. I'm scared to go over in an Oregon game. And with Liberty, they won't do anything. Tennessee 7-35. Oh, it must be Iowa. It's 35 over under. Tennessee, way the better team. Iowa with the defense. Tennessee, I think Tennessee wins here. As you saw in the Michigan game, it was hard for them to score. They kicked a lot of field goals. So I think it's also an under game. But God, it's a low under for Tennessee. Alabama, Michigan. Michigan 1.5, 45. Here's your free play. Go Alabama. Take your 7.5. This is a fucking joke. How you make Michigan favored? They played 2 games all year. Penn State, they win by 7, and Alabama against Ohio State, they win by 6. Alabama beat fucking Georgia. They beat the best team. They shouldn't be in the playoffs with the loss to Texas. There's too much emphasis based on them beating Georgia that, well, wait a minute. Georgia only lost the 1 game to Alabama. Why are they out of it? Alabama lost to Texas because Texas. So if Texas would have lost their championship game to Oak State, would Texas would have leapfrogged Alabama, or Alabama wins the SEC? So they automatically. What if they won with 4 losses? Would they automatically get in? So you got to love Alabama as the dog against Michigan. We know Nick Saban as the dog. Bet this game as soon as you can, although I don't see the line moving. There's no fucking way Michigan wins this game. Texas 4.5, 63 to Washington. You've got to be kidding here. Washington beats Oregon twice, doesn't lose, which means they beat USC, UCLA, maybe Utah, Washington State, and Oregon State. They look shitty beating those teams. They're a very live dog here, and I think the real play is over 63. You got explosive Texas and explosive Washington. They played Oregon to a 66, and Texas, pretty decent defense. Oregon's maybe a little better, but I love both dogs here. I love Washington as the dog. So that's your bowls. Free pick Alabama. Now on the site, I've had my guy put in $100 for all the bowls. If you don't see it, just buy the Army Navy, just buy the week for $100. I'll give you the bowl password. If you want everything through the Super Bowl, the college and the pros, $200. Just buy a $200 segment and send me an email. I want this for the whole season, and I'll give you that password. Red hot in the pros the last 4 or 5 weeks, 1 or 2 losses all. Red hot last week in college. I mean, what a week I had. I was like, I think 8-1 in college and like 9-1 in the pros. It's just amazing. My total is wrong. The pro total's right and the college total's right, but I had them at a pro college section because if you bought the college, and let's say I played Michigan with Green Bay, I didn't know how to label it, so the pro guy would get it and the college guy would get it. So I said, make a pro college selection for me. That way both parties would get it. And he did, but when you look at the history, I don't believe he's done that correctly. So I don't believe that's correct. So now we get to we've got on college, we've got to watch the players sitting out and or the transfer pool players, do they play or not? And the pros, who needs the game? That's what we're looking at. Who needs the game? Pro or, the pro or the college. So, no, I'm sorry. Who needs the game for the playoffs? Like Buffalo now. Their effort against Kansas City is going to be very strong. Not that it wouldn't, but in week 4, it's not the same as in week 13 when they're 6-6 and they're a better team than that, but they need the game. Look for them to be able to take advantage of KC's weak defense if they're all injured. KC doesn't have an offense that's going to scare you where they're going to blow you out, and you got to take the Green Bay into consideration. Oh, shit, they had trouble with Green Bay scoring, just throwing long passes. So I think that's what you look at. So anyway, that's what we're looking at in the pros is who needs it for the playoffs, the 1 seed, and then you're watching all these crazy injuries. College, we're still looking at over versus under teams. I mean, there's a number of games that, Alabama's your free pick is absolutely – I got Alabama 7-point favorites. How the hell are they a dog to Michigan? What are we looking at? Michigan beating Bowling Green or Michigan beating UNLV or Michigan beating Nebraska? What are we exactly looking at that's making Michigan? Because they only beat Ohio State by 6 at home. And if they had a quarterback, Ohio State wins the game. He doesn't throw that interception at the end. So that's kind of what you're looking at there. So those are my early picks. I got to do a little bit more college, but I know I got time for that, and I've been focusing on the pros. Again, Army Navy, go under with that game. They both know each other very well. It's going to be hard to score. Like I said, Army played Air Force 23-3, of which we thought Air Force was going to win. So got to look at it that way. We see gold. We know it's paper gold. Definitely what I'm learning talking to people about it. So I'm talking to a friend and she's like, but I don't have any money for gold. I don't have money for gold and silver. What do? I want to buy gold. I understand what you're saying, but I don't have any money. I get money. I got to pay the bills, take care of my kids. And the next thing I know, I don't have money for gold. And I'm like, well, understood. And that's a good point. To the poor people, it makes no sense. So if you're sitting on a $200,000-300,000, it makes sense. Get my money out of dollars into gold. I got no risk. If it doesn't go anywhere, I can just go back to the coin store and get my money. But the poor people, they're the ones who are really going to get fucked because they don't have money to buy gold and silver. What are they going to do? So it's going to be really difficult for them. They're going to get slaughtered because they won't have money. Now, I don't know what will happen as far as, so you're working at Starbucks and whatever you make there, and then are you going to start getting paid in gold backed currency? So if you're on BRICS or you're in Western Europe, Eastern Europe, it'll be gold backed currency. In America, we're too stupid to have gold. I don't know how they have it without any gold. How do people start getting paid? Still in dollars? Well, I'll tell you, you get out of America with your dollars and you come to a gold backed currency country, you're going to need $100 to get a dollar. I mean, that's about all you have. Is you have no, you're fucked. And when they do the FX rate, the dollar will have no value versus gold backed currency. So that's kind of where you're at with this. So I don't really know what to tell you. If you are on the poorer side and you don't make the money, I don't know. We'll have to figure out something for you to do where you can at least, I would say, at least buy an ounce of silver every chance you get. I know you're not making enough to really save, but you got to understand, even an ounce of silver a month buys you, it'll go to 2,000. Will exponent you to have a lot of money. That's why I give my friends, even here's 4 or 5 ounces. It's $100 for me. Here's 4 ounces, but it's going to be worth 2,000 an ounce. It'll be worth 8,000, and that's kind of how I present it. But it's funny, they don't know. But when I help them out and give them a couple ounces of silver, they get excited. Their eyes light up, going, "This is real silver." Yeah, an ounce. Well, okay, what's it worth? I go, right now 25, going to 2,000. They go, "Oh, okay." All these wars have got to be. I'm firmly believing it's Russia and China that are behind the U.S. dumping the dollar price with these, inflating the derivative price. So the more they print, the less it's worth, because it's basically inflation. Because you can't print gold and silver dollars. You can only print gold and silver derivative paper dollars, and that's what they're doing to keep the price down. But see what happens when you do derivatives? You're inflating the paper price, and the paper price goes down. Well, think about the dollars. They're printing trillions of dollars, JP Morgan and all the politicians, and look at the price. And believe me, the price is worth 1 cent. You got a $100 bill that's worth $1, but you don't know it because you don't really know the value of the $100 bill is $1 until you go to the grocery store and you try to buy something and you get half your basket and it's $150. Then you start realizing, oh, wait, when I was a kid and I used to go, in the 90s and I'd fill up my cart and it'd be $60. Now I can't even fill it up for over 100. So that's really where you're getting it from. What else? I was very stoic on the plane. This lady sitting in front of me had to lay down, and she goes to lay down, and she's in my list. It's basically like right here, right here on me. And I go, lady, you can't do that. I can't have you in my lap. So what did I do is I went back to the stewardess and I says, you know what? This lady is is not feeling well. She's in a lot of pain. Can I move? Because it was a half full flight. Can I move so she can lean back? So I was being very stoic there. I was thinking of her and how to help both of us, and I was very calm, like, okay, lady, let me try to help you. Can I move up? There's plenty of room. So because I said, hey, the lady's not feeling good, I moved up. They had no problem with it. I moved up 3 rows, but to the other section, and the lady could pull all the way back. And she's, thank you so much. And I felt very stoic at the time, because that's what stoic people do, is they look after the concerns of others. So that's kind of what I did. So I was like, as soon as I did it, I go, yep, I was stoic there. So it was pretty funny. But most people are reverse that, and they only care about themselves. Where I put the lady's best interest, and I quickly analyzed it, going, okay, she can't sit in my lap. What do I do here? And then I quickly said, oh, wait, there's other empty seats I can possibly move up to, and then she can still lay back. She should have asked for a row because there was some rows open where she could have just laid down among 3 seats and not pull her seat back. But she wasn't quick enough to do that, so I kind of saved the day, and she could lay down and I could move up, and everybody was happy. But yeah, that's being stoic, taking care of other people if you can. So anyway, I didn't want to be on too long. So that's your football. So let's go with your free pick of Alabama. Every time I free pick Alabama, it wins. And then I don't. And then our free pick in the pros is the Minnesota Oakland under. It's 40.5, under 46.5. I really don't see it being that high scoring with Dobbs and O'Connell. Again, you bet quarterbacks. So when you got Mahomes and Allen, yeah, you're probably going to get a higher scoring game, or Hurts and Prescott, or Russell Wilson and Herbert. You're probably going to get a higher scoring game. But when you get Dobbs against O'Connell, how are they even going to get a touchdown in the game? Bobby Poe, how are you? I'll talk to you later in a few days. Yeah, I want to be kind of stoic right now. So anyway, I went through the games. Free pick Alabama over Michigan and the Minnesota Oakland under. So I went through the games. I probably won't go too much more, and I'll explain that on Monday. Something like that. Nowadays, you got to be careful what you say and do. And anyway, I'll have a story for you Monday when I get home. Who did you have in the 49ers game versus the Eagles? I had the over. It was a lock, I believe. I was over 46. I might have locked it. I don't remember. My lock was Denver. I think I had 4 locks, although I can't find them. Oh, I think they were college locks. So the pro lock was Denver. The college locks, it was SMU under, Florida State under. And then I had 1 over game. That was my locks last week. But if you listen to my thing, pretty much I go through it and or just buy the picks on Teaserking.com. Again, I'm running a sale, $100 for all the bowls, $200 for all the bowls and all the pro games from here to the end to the Super Bowl, including the playoffs and the locks. That's really a fabulous bargain. I think the last 5 weeks I'm like 80%. My history number's wrong. I'm trying to get my IT guy to fix it. I think he's not adding the pro college tab pick. So if I put a pro in a pro, I mark it pro. If I put a college in college, I mark it college. Those are going fine. But if it's like Chicago Bears with Michigan, I call it pro college. So if you bought the pro, you get it. If you bought the college, you get it. Because I didn't know how else to mark it. Because if I just called it a pro game, the college guy didn't get it. And if I called it college, the pro guy didn't get it. So we created it, but I don't think he's totaling it up right. So if you're on my history, just probably add my pro and my college up. But the total number is not right. It's too high. Yeah, I see Florida State got slighted pretty badly. Totally fucked is my answer. Although I think Bama's the better team, I don't think they should have been left out. Well, I don't think Georgia should have been left out either. I don't think Oregon should have been left out. I still think Oregon's a better team than Washington. I know Georgia's a better team than Alabama. and too much emphasis is placed on. So look at Philadelphia and the Niners, right? Philadelphia is the better record, and with our logic, Philadelphia would be a higher seed, but the Niners beat them by 40 points. Does that mean anything? See, that the problem is, but if the Niners lost to Cleveland and they lost to Minnesota, then how do you count that? So, in other words, they're not counting the Alabama loss to Texas as meaningful as the Georgia loss to Alabama. Why not? It's a far worse loss. Georgia, Alabama losing to Texas is far worse than Georgia losing to Alabama. The Oregon-Washington loss. Oregon is much the better team. They're not looking at Washington State, Washington, Oregon State, where they won by a field goal. Well, you got to take that into consider. They're just ignoring it. You beat Oregon twice, you're better than him, and they're not. Oregon's much better team. Michigan, I have questions on. I think Ohio State's better than Michigan, but I don't think either of them are a playoff team with who you're leaving out. Florida State, you can't leave out. They beat LSU. They beat Clemson. And they beat Louisville. And Notre Dame did not beat Louisville. So I don't get where Louisville so Florida State beats Louisville 16-6 and get no credit for it when Florida State couldn't do it. Duke couldn't do it. They couldn't even score on them. They got like 10 points. So the kid gets 16 against a 10 defense. How much do you think Travis would have got on him? Travis wouldn't have lit him up for 20 points either. They'd have won 16-6 with Travis, and they would have been in. But this is the year they need 8 teams. You got to add Georgia, and you got to add Ohio State, you got to add Oregon, and you got to add Florida State to this playoff. And I wouldn't be too upset if you added Oklahoma and LSU to it and had a 10-team playoff. I think this is the year that makes sense. Add the fucking games. It's so stupid. Why do you got to keep with 4 when you have 10 teams? It doesn't make any sense to me at all. Florida State did what every other team did to make past playoffs. They went undefeated and won their conference, and they get punished for quarterback. Well, yeah, I mean, Alabama lost the game to Texas, like it or not. They lost the game, and they really lost to Auburn. They got an offensive interference call that didn't go their way, that they cheated on. So they really lost 2 games, Alabama. And just because Georgia lost the game, it's a matchup issue. They couldn't handle the option quarterback. They had trouble with Ohio State last year and LSU. Obviously, that's their weak point. So you don't think Georgia would easily win the title? I mean, they would fix the Alabama game, and that would be it. They'll handle Penix, and they'd handle Oregon like they did last year, 49-3. Yeah, 4 teams is a joke. It's just a little Final Four with no real tournament. But it's not even the right 4. You don't have the right 4. You don't have, like I said, Georgia in it, Oregon in it, Ohio State in it, Oklahoma in it are also valid teams that should be in. Florida State, of course. How do you have a playoff without Florida State and Georgia? I mean, and then call it the championship? You don't have the best 4 teams in there. Georgia would still beat half the NFL teams. So how do you make Georgia? How do you have Georgia not in the playoff? And then we got to take it seriously, or Oregon, or Oklahoma, Florida State. It's ridiculous. So why don't they have an 8-team playoff at least and put those teams? You got to have Georgia, Ohio State, LSU, Florida State in it. Georgia wouldn't lose again if they were in it. Yeah, I mean, exactly. And even Texas should have 2 losses. Houston had them beat, but ref made a bad call at the end of the game. Exactly. Well, and the other thing is they're not looking at the close game. Washington beat Washington State 24-21. And the same with Oregon State. Well, to me, that's a loss. I mean, that if you're looking at the best team, Oregon's a mile better than them. Look what they did to Colorado, USC. They just killed them. They don't get credit. Washington barely won 3 or 4 of their games. And they get, they won. So the win by 3 is better than a win by 20 and a loss, I guess. So, again, I don't see Washington or Texas doing anything in the playoff against Alabama. It'll be interesting if Texas plays Alabama again. I give Washington credit for beating Oregon, but I think it's a matchup in the cornerback section. So they must match up really well with the Oregon cornerbacks that nobody else apparently does. And their defense is strong. So I think that's why Washington. But if you look at them against the Washington State game and the Oregon State game, they did nothing. So they probably didn't match up to their corners. So if Texas has good corners, they'll beat them. As simple as that. But that's all I can see by that. It's all matchup. I mean, Jesus, Alabama lost to Texas. So how is Alabama in? I mean, so that loss doesn't count. Ohio State lost to Michigan. And Florida State didn't lose. Oklahoma lost to Kansas and Oak State. And then Oregon only lost to Washington. What is the point of the conference championship game then? It hurt Oregon because they only had one loss to Washington. So if they would have just had without the conference champion, I would have put Oregon in ahead of Washington. I don't know that matters. So does the heads up Alabama Georgia mean more than the Alabama Texas? And if so, why? It's a far worse loss losing to Texas than the Georgia game. They should have the Teaserking family picking the playoffs. We would do a better job. Well, they would do a better job in most of everything, Bobby. Agreed with you there. But yeah, I mean, that's really the problem. It's like, okay, how do we get Alabama in? And did Georgia fall down again, thinking they were going to get? They might have been promised, don't worry, lose, and you'll get in, because they did not look very good. Not Georgia. They didn't put pressure on the quarterback, really. That's what they do. So I'm not sure Georgia played the real game, thinking, well, with one loss, we'll get in. We're Georgia. And I don't understand Alabama getting in ahead of Florida State with the loss. I can understand Michigan and Washington with undefeated. Texas lost. I mean, who did they lose? They lost to Oklahoma, who lost 2 games. Why is Texas? I don't get why Texas is got in, and I don't get why Alabama got in ahead of Florida State and Georgia. I don't buy it. Yeah, and after we make our selections, we would then announce to everyone to buy medals. Well, of course. Yeah, go ahead. Well, okay, so I'm running into talking to people on gold and silver, and the question is, I don't have any money. I'm poor, but I want to buy gold and silver. But how can I? I'm just trying to feed my family, and that's a good question that I wanted to bring up. Was what do they do? Because they're all going to get fucked because they don't have money. Now, one of the points is going to be when the gold back currency comes up. So you're working at Starbucks. You're going to start getting paid in gold back currency, I assume. One for these gold back countries. Now in the U.S., since we're idiots, what do? Do they sit there and start? All I know is if you have your FX rate, let's say Canada goes to gold standard, and you go to Canada and you got $100 and you exchange it for gold back Canadian dollars, which won't happen. They don't have any gold either. But let's say Switzerland, let's say they get gold back currency. It's going to be $100 to buy one gold back dollar. So how are you going to go and travel with your dollars, and you won't be able to afford anything, right? It'll be $30 gold, and all you got's American money. You're like, well, I need $5,000 to buy a hot dog. That's where the real problem's going to be. But if you live there, you should get paid in the gold back currency. So your salary's got to be adjusted. Maybe you get silver instead. But yeah, I mean, this one person was like, well, I want to buy gold, but I don't have any money. How do I do it? And I said, well, probably what you need to do is buy an ounce of silver here and there, at least get out of paper. And people are trying to understand it. They're like going, oh, well, the dollar's a dollar and gold's gold. And it's like hard to explain to them, the dollar's worthless, and they're sitting at a restaurant eating. And you're like, if the dollar's worthless, how am I able to eat? This is the problem they have, right? They don't get it has no value. And you get paid in dollars, and then you go grocery shopping and go to the restaurant and pay your bill in dollars. They can't understand it's worthless. And I say, yeah, it is worthless. It's got no value. And gold and silver is being suppressed. That's where the inflation of gold comes in the paper. So we know inflation's printing the dollar to zero. That we got. And you can't print gold. So gold value can't go down. But yeah, wait a minute. I see gold at 2000 and it goes down to 1980 and 2070, and then it's 2030. Wait a minute, the gold value is going down. No, that's the paper gold. They're trying to inflate the paper because they can't inflate the coins because you can't print coins. And the derivatives, by adding, lower the value of the gold, inflating it. You're inflating the price because you're printing the derivatives, or you got more paper money. And so I really thought of that going, yeah, okay, now I can see what's happening. And that's the danger of the inflation. But you can see it in gold and silver, but you can't really see it in the dollar because there's nobody keeping score that the dollar is worthless. There's no score that says, oh, today it buys you 1 cent. You can buy half an Oreo with the dollar. That's the problem. There's no score showing the value of the dollar dropping. And, of course, the gold going up. So that's really the key to it. And, all you can do is say, look, it's not worth anything. And I bring up our Titanic story, Bobby. I go, me and Bobby are on the Titanic. As soon as the iceberg hits, we go to the lifeboat. We grab our gold, go to the lifeboat, and get in the boat then. When everybody, and that's what's happened with the dollar. It's hit the ice cube, it's hit the iceberg. And by buying the gold and silver, we're in the lifeboat already. And everybody's sitting there waiting, going, oh, no, it can't sink. It's unsinkable. And they're going, well, it's a dollar. It can't go down. And I'm fine with it. And I'm in stocks. And then you go, yeah, I bet the Romans said the same thing. And it really makes them stop in their tracks going, yeah, I bet the Romans didn't think they could go out. They were the Roman Empire. How could they go out? But that's really what I'm finding is the poorer people who want to do it can't because they don't have the extra money to do it. Right? I got $2,000 to buy an ounce of gold. And I switched my green garbage for my gold. But if you don't have the money, how do you buy the gold and silver? And you can see they want to. You can see they get it, right? They know I need gold and silver. What the fuck do I do? How do I do it? But I'm poor. I got to take care of my kids and eat and do this and do that. And it's really like you feel bad, but what are you going to do? I mean, it's like you're right, but I'm like, well, just save $25 every couple weeks and buy an ounce of silver with it. Surely you can find $25. Don't eat a McDonald's or whatever, and make tuna that day and buy an ounce of silver a month. And you're still going to be way ahead because it's not going to stay 25. And they're, I don't have money. And I'm like, well, I don't know what to tell you, but if you have, so they don't even have dollars in the bank to really lose the value. It's just, it goes in and it buys stuff for them and the kids, and that's it. And they don't have anything left over. And these are the people I really feel bad for. The richer people, they're just idiots. They're holding on to their dollars. They're not smart enough to switch them for gold and silver, but it's the poorer people who don't have the extra money who are going to get crushed. And I don't know what to do. I mean, that's all I can say is try to save. I get that a lot at the pool where the lifeguards, I don't make anything. All of a sudden, a couple make enough for some silver, or I'll help out that one, my one friend where I gave her some silver and she couldn't afford it. And then she was happy about it. But, and she's real bright, but she's going to school and she doesn't have any money. And I understand that. And I keep saying you don't have much time. The boats hit the iceberg about 3 weeks ago, and the boat can't stay afloat too much longer. So that's where we're at. As we come to January, look out. I saw in the news that Putin is with the Saudi Arabia minister, and both of them have all the oil. And they're two together going, okay, we only want gold for the oil. I just can't imagine when they're done talking. Look out, the oil will just zoom, and they're going to want gold for it, and that's when the gold starts going up. So the COMEX can't really stop it. Hey, Luke. Well, you're talking paper, Luke. See, as I was explaining, those are they're inflating the paper gold, but you can't inflate the gold coins. And that's what you got to just keep in mind. So yeah, it started to go up. The Fed did all the derivatives to flood the market with paper to lower their price, which imagine what it does to the dollar when they flood the dollar. Imagine what the price of the dollar would really be in real terms. It'd be like 1 cent. That's why I always show the rip dollar there. So it's the dollar isn't worth anything, and gold, like I was saying, Putin's in with the Saudi guy today. When they get done, it'll be you want oil? We need gold from you. So they'll be tying it to gold very soon, and the BRICS. And so what Egon doesn't say, Egon says, well, each country, they're not going to want one currency, and it's like, no, they'll still have. Egon doesn't get it. They'll still have their currency. So the Argentina and the Brazilian and the Russia and China will have their own currencies, and then there'll be the BRICS currency backed by gold that they can all get into while still having their own. So like there can be the USD, the US dollar, and then the BRICS dollar, and the BRICS dollar be worth a whole lot more. So that's the thing. Your favorite BTC cranking not as manipulated. BTC. Your favorite Bitcoin cranking? I don't know. What's a BTC? I seen that. Laugh aloud. What had happened? So you are saying gold is going to 20,000 an ounce, which would be 10 times of its all-time highest price. I think it's going to 50,000, not 20,000. Bitcoin, your favorite Bitcoin cranking not as manipulated. Oh, it's manipulated. It's price fixed. Just gold's price fixed with the paper keeping the price down by them printing derivatives, which is bullshit. The coins themselves cannot be inflated, and there's no price for them. Bitcoin cranking, that's manipulated also. I mean, it's all made off. Why does it go up and down? We don't know. And is it limited? We don't know. Is 21 million limited? It's not 21 million tons of gold. So I don't know that that's actually limited, and that you can prove there's only 21 million, but that's okay. 50,000 an ounce. Wow. What is your time estimation when this will happen? Luke, you can answer that question. We don't know the exact time, but we know the theory is you can't inflate the coins. And with Russia and China and the BRICS coming out with gold-backed currency, and the Russian ruble coming out with gold-backed currency, and the oil going to be priced in gold, the demand for gold will go higher, and they'll blow up COMEX, because COMEX has to have physical gold to do the derivatives, and there can't be that much left, because every time they put it out for 2,000, China and the central banks and Russia are buying it. So there's not very much left. And once there isn't anything left, say goodbye to COMEX. So 50,000 is a conservative price until it's not priced in dollars. So it'll be priced in dollars for a while, and then it'll be priced in gold. Gold will buy a house, gold won't be worth $50,000. It'll be because there won't be a dollar to price it in. So it'll happen soon as people become more aware of it. As soon as the demand for the dollar goes to zero, and it's very close to that, it'll have no value, which then gold takes over, because all the central banks are buying gold because they know the dollar's fucked, and they're going to need gold to survive. We know that, and we're not central banks. We know we need gold and silver to survive. So that's our first order of the day is get the gold to survive. And once we understand that, then that's we're way ahead of the game. Like I said, we're off the Titanic, right? We're already in the lifeboat. It's all the people that are too stupid to get in the lifeboat because the Titanic can't sink and this and that. And they don't realize there's not enough lifeboats. In other words, there's not enough gold to save everybody at these prices, and gold price will go up. So it's going to be soon, but you can't wait. So just think of the Titanic, hit the iceberg. What are you going to do? Wait in the boat till it sinks, or go to the lifeboat, which is gold and silver? So I say go buy your gold and silver while you can at these prices. At the worst case, so 5 years go by and I'm wrong, and the price is still 2,000. You go to the coin store or the jewelry store, wherever you bought it, and say, here's my gold, give me back my money, and he gives you all your money back. It's a no-brainer, no-risk situation that's has a huge return on it. It can't go to zero. There's too much demand. There's not enough supply of gold. It can't go. You'll never see it at zero. Not physical. Paper, they're trying to push it down, but it's still 2025. I mean, what is it now? It's a pretty high. Let's see. Gold's 2028, so they're trying to hammer it, right? And it's still sitting there at 2028. And silver went down from 25 to 23.78 because that's more manipulated. So silver will be around for a while, where gold obviously isn't. But that's where you need to understand it. So you want to get in a lifeboat before the boat's at the bottom of the Atlantic and you're in the freezing water going, let me find a door and I can hang on that. That's what you want to do. And it's no risk. There's too much demand. As I show you with my Canadian Club bottle, which I don't have with me. So the pen has a value. Let's say it's worth $2. But when I try to sell it and nobody wants it, there's no market for it. So the dollar, there's a market for it. People will buy it. But soon there'll be that nobody will want it. And I've already pointed out with the treasury bills that there is no market for the treasuries. No country will buy it. So the Fed will print money to buy them. The more they print, the less. So if you print $1 billion, if you print $1 trillion day one, it's worth $1 trillion. If you do it day two, it's worth 800,000. If you do it day three, it's worth 800 billion and then 600 billion. And before you know it, you print $1 trillion and it's worth, $1 billion. And that's what happens. The more of it you print, the more you need to print to get the trillion. So the first day, the trillion gets you $1 trillion. The second day, you need to print, let's say, $1 trillion to get back to the trillion, and then 1,000,010 to get back to the trillion. And then pretty much it doesn't matter what you print, it's worthless. And that's what happens when you print money when you don't have gold. As soon as you get out of gold, and it's happened every country in the world since the Romans, you take all the gold out of your currency, which is what the whole world's done right now, right? We're all sitting in dollars without gold backing, and it's all going to zero in every country. Luke, gold is Basel III accepted, not silver. Should I be worried? No, because it goes with it. Basel III is sound and new bank compliance, apparently. Basel III says that if you do your derivatives, you have to have gold backing them. Silver still has derivatives. It does not have silver backing it. But as gold goes up, silver follows. Because think about it, we're at the grocery store, and as I use my steak, so we got Delmonico and we got New York Strip, and they're both $10. So you buy whatever. Maybe you buy more Delmonico. Then Delmonico goes to 20 and New York Strip goes to 10. So Delmonico's gold and the New York Strip is silver. And you go, well, fuck, I can't afford the Delmonico. I'm going to buy the New York Strip. I can't afford the gold at 20,000, 30,000 an ounce. I'm going to buy the silver it's at 1,000 an ounce, and that's how silver gets up. Because as people realize their money's worthless, which they haven't realized it. I keep. By the way, it is. Somebody asked me that question. When is the dollar worthless? I go, it already is. It doesn't have a value, and they don't. It's confusing because they go to the grocery store and they use it, and they don't understand how it's worthless. Well, because the grocery has to take it, but it buys as little. It doesn't buy what it used to buy. A Coke used to be 39 cents, now costs you $2. That's how the value's dropping and dropping and dropping. And the more people realize this, the more they'll get into gold, and it'll be too expensive, so they'll get into silver. But they'll realize they're both money, and that's why silver will go up, is because once people realize it. And then, yes, we have to kill the derivative market, but I think as gold runs out, silver goes to the moon, because then, well, I can't afford gold at 20,000 an ounce, but silver's sitting there at 100, and they'll buy it all up, and then it'll go up to 1,000 and 2,000. That's how that goes, because it is money, and people realize I can't afford gold, but I can afford silver. Especially these poor people I'm talking to, buy them at 25 an ounce. Just fucking buy it, whatever you can. Then you won't be poor for much longer. So anyway, silver, gold, bullion, eagles are real constitutional money. Yeah, but they don't listen to the Constitution, Luke. Me and you do, but why is there paper money? It shouldn't be. It's not legal. It's not in the Constitution. Only gold and silver are, and that's really what the problem is. Let's just say I'm traveling. I'll tell you Monday. So that's the thing, is they are they're not following the Constitution. There's no such thing as a central bank in the Constitution. There's no such thing as corrupt government in the Constitution, and fake money and fake laws. They don't follow the laws. They don't follow. I was watching something on YouTube where the guy, I don't remember the guy's name, he wouldn't let the Republican senators ask judges questions, and the guy said, you can't, and let's vote on them. And he was totally disregarding the whole Senate hearing thing of, let's say they wanted to nominate me for something, they would ask me questions. Are you a communist, or, what are you, and what are your beliefs? They didn't let them ask those questions. I mean, it's freaking ridiculous what's going on in the government. But anyway, that's where we are with it. So we're waiting on the dollar to lose demand. And right now there's huge demand for gold between Russia, China, and then all these central banks. They're the ones buying the cheap COMEX. And I assume China and Russia are the ones behind keeping the price low. Why would the U.S. do it when they're not buying it? Or, well, we don't think the U.S. and London and Canada are buying gold, even though the price is down. And we know Russia, China, and all the central banks in Europe and Asia are buying it. So they're behind keeping it at 2,000 until they're done buying it, which is very soon, because that's as soon as there's nothing left there. But remember, there's 250,000 tons. It's 32,000 ounces a ton. There is a lot, but they do buy bars. Like when Russia buys, Putin's buying the big James Bond Goldfinger bar. Me and you are buying an ounce coin. We're all excited. He's buying the big fucking ton bar, or whatever you would get for a ton. But look at Money Heist. Look at how much gold they got. It was only 90. I think it was only 90 tons. I mean, it wasn't like a lot, but the bricks were big, and I don't know what they were worth. But that's really what you're looking at, is the you're buying the it's all a supply demand game. So as soon as there's no demand for the dollars, when it goes out. So to answer the timing part of it, it's soon. It's as soon as people are aware. Like I said, the central banks are aware of it. Maybe it's just them. As soon as they're like, okay, I got to buy more and more gold, and once it's sold out, then the price goes up, and it's can't be much longer. And the derivatives, the gold needs to be backed by the derivatives, by physical gold, and they can't have much left. Like I said, Russia, China have 100,000 tons out of the 255,000 tons. I'm sure the central bank probably have between 75 and 100 of the other, leaving us to go to the coin store to buy ounces with the other 25,000 tons. So it won't stay long. I heard Utah, Texas, Alaska, and others, I think 10 total states are going to a gold silver standard. Well, I understand it, but do they have the gold to go in a gold standard? And then what do you do? I take $1 from Michigan and I travel to Texas. What do? How do I use it? Because my dollar is not going to be worth what the gold standard dollar is. So what do I take? $1,000 to buy a $5 gold standard dollar? And the gold has to be redeemable. So if you get a $10 gold bill, you should be able to go to the bank and get $10 of gold for it. That's the idea. And is that going to be a $10 gold piece, a quarter ounce, which is worth $650? I mean, what am I getting for my $10 gold piece? It's going to be hard because the central bank will fight it. JP Morgan will fight it. They don't want it out there. And when will that come into play? Or are they planning when the world goes to a gold standard to then come out with the gold standard dollars? So do I got to move to Texas or Utah to get a job to get paid in gold? So instead of getting paid $100,000, I get paid 30,000 gold dollars. I mean, how is that all going to work? What is the grocery store going to sell milk for in Texas on a gold-backed dollar versus in Michigan? What are they going to sell milk for? I mean, it's got to be night and day. I don't know that they can do that. Like I said, if I'm in Michigan and I travel to Texas, I got $1,000. It's going to buy me 20 gold dollars. And will they accept? What's the FX rate going to be? Is there going to be an FX rate between Michigan and Texas? I mean, there's going to have to be. If they're going to gold standard, that means their dollars are backed by gold and my dollars aren't. So it's a freaking nightmare. I don't know how they can do it. I think the whole country has to do it or nothing. But we'll see. I think it's more accepting it as legal currency, but like I said, it doesn't matter. I can run to my coin store, my jeweler, give him an ounce. He'll give me $2,100 for it, and then I go and I use it at the store. I don't know why they need to accept it as currency. And as I said, they're going to have to value it in currency. I'm going to go to a grocery store in Texas. What's the cost of the milk? So it's very confusing. And then making change. This is where people get confused. You don't make change. You don't take your tenth of an ounce gold and go to the grocery store and buy milk and pop. What has to happen is everything's on the gold standard, and then you price things in silver dimes, quarters, silver halves, silver nickels. So now milk is a silver dime for a gallon of milk. And I have silver, so I bring in a silver dollar. You give me 90 silver cents back for my milk. That's what you have to do. They have to have the silver and gold in the register, mostly silver, in the register for you to use it. And that's the real problem. That's the real nature of it, is if they don't, you can't make change. So you got to go to the jewelry store, the coin store, get the dollars and use the dollars, because they got to be able to make change. So they have to have silver in the register. But you can always go to the coin store and cash in your gold to get dollars and use them. But as I say, we're going from a dollar world to a gold world. So the dollar will go and cease to exist. The house that's 400 grand goes to zero and gets repriced, and 2 ounces, 3 ounces of gold buys the house. That's what will happen. It's the only way it can work, and that's how it worked in Roman times. Everything was priced in silver and gold. They didn't have cars back then, but you never know what Caesar drove. He could have had a car. These aliens, they probably were working back then. How would you ever buy a house in gold? Uh, okay, Bobby's got his house, 500 grand. The dollar's worthless. You go to Bobby and say, well, Bobby, I can give you 2 ounces of gold for your house. And he jumps on it and says, oh my God, it's real money. I need the money. Yes, I'll take it. So the owner then understands that gold has a big value and takes it. Just as if you go buy a Mercedes, it's a $90,000 Mercedes. Maybe you need an ounce and a half to buy it. Will the dealer take it? Well, if the priced in dollars and the dollar zero, what's the dealer going to do? Hold on to a Mercedes that he won't take dollars for, so he'll start taking gold and silver. Everything transfers over to what is the real money, and the real money will turn into gold and silver because you can't print it. That's the whole bottom line, is you can't print the physical gold and silver. That's why it's worth so much more than it is. I assume banks would have to accept gold and silver and issue new backed currency. Well, they have to get the gold and silver to do that. And my concern is they don't have any. So if you actually had $100 gold dollar, backed by gold, I would be able to take that to Wells Fargo and say, here's your $100 gold piece. I want $100 in gold for the $100 bill. And they'd have to have it. I don't know how they're going to do it because they don't have any gold. Now, maybe they'll buy it from the Russians and Chinese. Maybe they've been buying it along the lines. Goldman Sachs and JP Morgan have been buying gold. I know they've been buying silver. Maybe they've been buying gold, just not the central banks, just not the U.S. government, but the banks. I would imagine JP Morgan and Wells Fargo and Goldman Sachs are smart enough to understand what the hell's going on and to be in gold. I know they're in silver, so they're not stupid. They know what it needs. So between them and the central banks and Putin and Xi buying all the gold and the silver, it's going to shoot up in price very, very soon. I'd say probably within 6 months, you'll never see $2,000 an ounce gold again. You'll never see $25 silver again, because as they start to run, it's everybody getting off the Titanic. They're realizing, oh shit, the boat's sinking. They lied. They say it can't sink. And once it starts sinking and they realize it, what do? They all jump to get off the boat. And that's what's going to happen to gold and silver. That's what we're waiting for, is the moment of enlightenment when they go, oh shit, the boat is sink. The dollar is worthless. Right now, they're too stupid to understand that the boat can sink. Oh, it's an unsinkable boat. It can't sink. Yeah, it hit an iceberg. No big deal. I'm not going to worry about it because you know what? It can't sink. And, yeah, it can sink. As the guy says, believe me, it can. The dollar, nobody's saying the dollar can't go out. Who's saying that? Nobody's saying that. Right? Where have you heard that the dollar can't go to zero? And I'm telling you, the dollar is already at zero. Maybe it's at 1 cent. How does SLV and GLD work? Aren't they backed by physical? No, they're not. They're Madoff ETFs. They're saying, so let's take the GLD. There's an ounce of gold, and they sell it to 10,000 people. Nobody's going to get the ounce of gold, but they're using that value of the ounce of gold to price the GLD or the SLV. You'll never get it. It's not physical. They're trying to scam you into believing that you own physical, and they're scanning you to believe that as the gold goes up, the SLV goes up. But wait a minute, what do we have? There's no gold backing it, and when gold goes to 20,000 an ounce, what's the GLD going to be worth? Probably zero. I don't know, but you only want physical. You do not want paper. You do not want those ETFs. So again, they're not real. You do not own any gold. So if you're buying them thinking you own gold, you're in for a rude awakening. You do not own an ounce of gold or silver. You and another 1,000 people own the same ounce, and none of you will get it. JP Morgan is the largest custodian of physical silver. But what does that mean? Does that mean they own it or they just store it? There's a big difference there. I know Goldman Sachs has a ton of silver. I'm sure Morgan Stanley, all the Morgan people, and the Wells Fargo, all the bullion banks, I'm sure have kept it, and all the central banks in the world have it, and Russia and China. So there's not a lot left, but what is the point of keeping the price down? It benefits those wanting to buy it. So that's really where we're at, is the people are keeping it down so somebody can buy it, probably JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs, I know, and I'm sure Russia and China are leading the parade, going, keep the price down, we want to buy more. Absolutely. And that's I think where we're at. So, well, I don't know about 1 month, but it seems to be January is going to be an action month. Besides the Alabama-Michigan game, let's say by the quarter, again, we can't pinpoint the date. We can't say March 7th, my birthday, it's going to go. But we can see, it's like Kansas City lost to Green Bay. Is it going to surprise you if they lose to Buffalo? No, because they just lost to Green Bay. They lost to a shit team who's maybe getting better, but I don't buy Love being that good. We'll see against the Giants, but you've got to look at the loss and go, yeah, you got to look at Philadelphia going, they don't have a defense, which I've already known the last 6 weeks. I keep betting them over. And somebody asked me, who did I have in the Frisco Philly game? I said, I had the over locked up. I had 5 bets on it and won easily. I think it was like 40 something, and I had it in the third quarter. But that's what you need to recognize. So you need to recognize Kansas City's not that good. They don't have receivers. So you do the same thing here. So if this happens, then gold and silver mining should explode also. Yes, but not at first. All the stocks are going to crash because they're in paper. So as you would think, gold and silver go up. But what happens is the guy in, let's say the guy in Italy who's dumping his U.S. dollars to buy Italy or to buy euros because he realizes U.S. dollar is zero. He wants to get out of it. And he's got all this stock. He dumps all his stock, including the gold stocks. He doesn't keep it. So all the stocks get hammered. And then as gold and silver go up, the stocks will go up. But why get caught in the volcano, right? Wait for the avalanche. Let the avalanche happen, then go buy it. Just like 1929, all the stocks collapsed, including gold and silver. It's not like, certain ones did and certain ones didn't. The whole market dumped. And then when it dumped, then you could have bought your stocks, when it dropped 200 points, and then it was like at 37, then you go buy it. So that's what I would wait for with gold and silver. But that's why I say buy the coins, because the coins will go to the moon. The stocks will go to the moon too, but how are you valuing the stocks? They're in dollars. So when the dollar collapses, what is your stock worth? Look at my financial. What is what is the gold in the mine worth? Nothing, because it's priced in dollars. Until we get a gold price, the mine will be worthless, even though we know it's got all these ounces of gold. So keep that in mind. At this point, you're better off with the gold, the physical gold and silver, and off you go with it. Excuse me. Then maybe buy the stocks, but you're going to make a fortune in the silver, in the coins. You don't want the ETFs. And I understand with the stocks, but you're better off with the physical. Get it, and then it jumps. You already got it. It's easy to get rid of it. It'll be very easy to get. Just go to your coin store and say, okay, I'm selling it, because he wants to turn it over. He's going to have such strong demand, people wanting to buy the ounce of gold. So it's $40,000, let's say. You come in with it going, okay, I want to sell this ounce for $40,000. He's going to be so happy to get an ounce because he's got a buyer for $42,000. And so that's why you'll have no problem selling it. but it's not going to stay. You can see it's starting to go, and they're trying to push it down, and it's physical. And guess who's buying the push down? The Russians and the Chinese. And it's not going to last. I mean, eventually it's going to break to 21 and then 25 and then 3 and then 5. That's what's going to happen. It'll be fun for us, Bobby. These people that are poor, they're going to get the shit kicked out of them, but we'll see what happens. Yeah, I couldn't believe that. The miners are squeezing and will blow higher. I'm concerned I sold too much of my miners to grab the physical. Their percentage goes up way higher as the price goes. Again, but if all the stocks drop, you're not gonna. It'll go down, and then on the bottom it'll come back up, and that's where I agree with you. But I wouldn't worry about that. When it goes up, it goes up. But the gold stocks are way down. They're not going up right now because nobody thinks the gold has any value. This is the whole scam. I was talking to my friend, and she's like, "Well, gold doesn't do anything. It's got, it does, my money works for me. My gold doesn't." And I go, "The money's losing value, and the gold's being suppressed, and we're waiting on the suppression end. But we know the dollar is dropping. We know it has no value, right? It's going to zero. That's a given. Gold can't go down. It can only go up, and the return on investment is going to be huge. We know that. That's what we're waiting for. You got to understand the problem, right? You got to understand all the procedures behind it, which is it can't go to zero. There's too much demand, especially with what's happening. Everybody's getting out of dollars, getting out of euro, and getting out of Swiss francs. The lights are starting to come on for the richer people, like, who have money that can say, I can get out of my gold. The poor people are just going to get fucked. I don't know what to say, but if they're working at, McDonald's, I assume they start getting paid in gold currency, but, I don't know what to say. I mean, if you don't have money, you're not going to have gold and silver either. You're fucked either way. You're probably fucked now. So what's the difference? Hey, Todd, should I go buy silver at this time too, then go buy more gold starting the new year? Just buy them both. If you have money, I'd buy gold. And if like what I do is I'll buy the ounces, and they're 2,000 an ounce. And then on my off weeks, I might buy 10 ounces of silver. So you want both. It doesn't matter. They're both going to the moon. As gold goes, silver goes. It's not like gold goes and silver's still sitting there, because people understand it's money and can't afford the gold, so they go to the silver. You can't afford the Domenico steaks, you're going to buy the New York strip because you want steak. You want money. You want real money, so it doesn't really matter. And that's what's going to happen. You'll go there because it'll be cheaper. And because it's $25, you'll buy a shitload of it. And especially when gold hits like 10,000, you're going, shit, I can't afford that. Maybe I buy a quarter ounce of that, but you know what? Silver's still cheap. I can put $5,000 into silver because that's going to run up. But people have to understand that too, that silver goes right with it. But every time you hear Egon or Alligator, it's the same thing. They're joined at the hip. They're going up because they're real. They're both real money. Gold's a little bit different because you can't destroy it, and silver gets destroyed. So when you put silver in the battery, these electric batteries, silver goes. I mean, it wears out. If you put gold in it, it would never wear out. But I don't know if gold fits in with the silver battery or not. But gold can never wear out, and silver does wear out. So that's the big difference. That's probably the difference in price. And there's more silver than there is gold. But go find a silver miner, you can't. Nobody mines silver, it's too cheap. So again, that even makes it more limited. And but don't buy paper. Don't buy paper, gold or silver or ETFs. And really, I wouldn't advise the stocks because we're about to get the shit beat out of us. Because once the light goes on and they realize the Titanic is flooding and they get out, they're gonna get out of the dollar and sell stocks and houses and everything. And you're going to see a real shit kicker. Bobby gives you his little approval. Todd. You can't go wrong with it. No matter what, you can't go wrong with it. Luke, when the investor 401kers start to see gold go nuts, they'll all want it. Could be quite a show. Well, that's my point. As soon as everybody realizes the Titanic's sinking, they all run to the lifeboats. And me, you, and Bobby are already in the lifeboat. We're already on the water going, that boat's sinking. I'm glad we got into our lifeboat 2 hours ago when we saw it hit the iceberg. And that's what we're seeing. We see the iceberg is the dollar drowning, and we see the lifeboat, the gold and silver. So we're sitting in the lifeboat now, waiting. How much more is this boat going to stay afloat? Oh, no, now you got me second guessing my kangaroos. Why, Bobby? What's wrong with the kangaroos? Thanks, Bobby. I'm going to go back and buy the kangaroos. What am I missing with the kangaroos? Kangaroos are what, gold or silver? What's wrong with them? They're fine. They got. I have a half-ounce kangaroo. What's wrong with it? It's worth the half ounce of gold. It's worth $1,000, $1,100. Yeah, I told my family members to go out of their 401k and get on metals, and they think I'm crazy, and I would just record it. You're going to be like one of those commercials where they throw the red flag, and you're going to go back to that. And there's Bobby going, buy gold and silver. And you're going to throw the red flag, and they're going to see it, and they're going to all, I should have listened to you, Bobby. They don't trust Bobby Bo. That's hard to believe. Yep. Hey, when people don't listen to me, I say when everything collapses, don't come to me looking for gold and silver, because I won't have any for you. The part when you said silver will burn out. Well, yeah, but that makes the value go higher because there won't. I'm talking about like silver in engines, right? Or in batteries, or in phones. The silver wears out, but not your silver coin. That's when you use it for, let's say, electric batteries. The silver will have to be replaced because it'll burn out. But not your kangaroo. That's not going to burn out. You got it in a plastic and you're safe. It's not getting burned out. But that's the difference. Gold, you can't. You see gold being melted down, and I think silver can also, but it can't. It can't. Gold can't wear out. Silver can. They just say that's my retirement, Bobby. Hey, Bobby, I'm betting the small house on LSU over Wisconsin. Betting on Alabama over Michigan. But don't they understand that their retirement is going to be zero soon? That's the problem. When the dollar goes to zero and it's at 1 cent right now, don't they see what's happening at the grocery stores and wherever they're shopping? That the value, Oreos are $5 a pack. That means it's not Oreo's price increase. It's the dollar losing value. And as the dollar loses value, their retirement goes to zero. This is the point they don't understand. And you need to let me talk to them, because the gold can't go to zero because of demand. There is no more demand for the dollar because they're tired of being sanctioned. And basically, when Russia, China come out with gold-backed BRICS currency, the BRICS goes to a gold-backed currency. What are you going to want? $100 gold BRICS or $100 US? This is worth $1,000. This is worth 10 cents. What are you going to want? And the dollar depreciates and the gold appreciates. So what would you rather be in? You want to be in a car that depreciates, or do you want to be in something that doesn't? We were talking about like assets, like a Picasso or a Rolex, and it's like, well, they don't lose value, and they're going to go up, and then you just sell it. And like, how do I go to the grocery store with the Rolex? Oh, you sell it, get the money, and go. With gold, it'll eventually be each product at the grocery store will be priced in silver, probably. The gold will be like the Mercedes and the Ferraris will be an ounce or two of gold will buy you the car, because silver won't have that value. But silver's value will go up dramatically. Professor Bama is at Pick'em 2. That's pretty juicy. I got 1.5. I love Bama as a dog. Who did Michigan beat again? Oh, yeah, they beat Maryland, Northwestern, Nebraska, all the other side. Wait, they beat Ball State. I mean, come on. You really think that's a bet, the house type of play? Bobby Bo was. I think if you tease Michigan and the over in the Washington Texas game, it's you can't go wrong. Really, we just saw Alabama beat Georgia. Do you think Michigan can beat them by a touchdown? Michigan? What are they showing? I don't see how Michigan is even going to score on Alabama. And that guy Milrose will run all over Michigan, just like TCU did last year. That's their problem, right? TCU, Alabama has the same offense. Good luck. And then Washington and Texas, it's going to be an 80-point game. They're just going to go up and down the field. So it'll be at least a 70-point game. So those are your big ones, and then LSU, and there's a few other college I went over. Bobby knows. You know who else is a good one with good odds? Ohio State. I think they beat Missouri with backup quarterback because it's a system. I don't think so. I think Missouri, if Missouri plays their guys and the backup quarterback from Ohio State is out, I like Missouri. Missouri went from a 7-point dog to a 1-point favorite. Why is so the Ohio State quarterback's out because he's transferring? And where's he transferring to? LSU also, or what? I thought the Miami quarterback was going to LSU. So this will be really interesting to see what's happening there. But anyway, I think that's enough now. Not sure if I'll be on tomorrow, maybe Saturday. I wanted to get the pros in. So again, tonight, it's the under in the Pitt New England game. I don't really know if there'll be any score in the game. It might end up 3-0. How the hell did it go 6-0 with San Diego? I mean, that's crazy. The free pick is Minnesota Oakland under with Alabama. That's my free plays for the weekend. Gold, just keep waiting, and it's going through the roof. We all know that. Yeah, I really like the under in the game because after the 23-3 Army over Air Force, and that was a couple of turnovers, I just don't see. Navy, they'll be lucky to get to the midfield, and Army's got better running. I think Army does win the game, but I like them as a dog. In that type of game, it's just, you're going to get a low score. Class Action A on this weekend. I don't understand that. Class Action A? So this happens. The gold and silver. Where am I? He should come to Baton Rouge. That'd be a good thing for him because he looked terrible the last 2 years in Miami. What is Class Action A on this weekend? Todd, yeah, Army. Luke, have a good evening and safe travel. Thanks, Todd, or thanks, Luke. And I think that's it. But I probably, maybe tomorrow, but what's today? Thursday, Friday. I'll try to come on Saturday. Once we see the injuries for Sunday, is Trevor Lawrence playing? If Trevor Lawrence is out, and I think he is, then I'm just taking the game under against Cleveland. There's a 20-mile-an-hour wind, and C.J. Beathard, I think, is their backup. So I'm not expecting a lot from him. Probably Saturday. I don't know about Sunday. Thanks, Bobby Bo. Yeah, I'll be normal probably Monday night. I'll probably be normal. normal time, and for sure Tuesday. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Go Pittsburgh, New England. Keep it under 36 or whatever. How do you bet that game? You got two shit quarterback. Pickett's out. God knows New England, even with Zappy, he hasn't thrown a touchdown yet. And I think it's these offensive coordinators got their heads up their ass. But anyway, so watch your. I don't know. Alligator Mark McGuire will probably have a guest on tomorrow, so don't waste your time with that. Anyway, yeah, gold definitely, silver. They're headed that way. More people are becoming aware. COMEX is blowing up, and the closer we get to the gold back, the higher the price will have to be. And just wait for it. If you need the money, cash one in. Don't cash too many. And that's the beauty of it. At worst case, you need to cash an ounce in. Otherwise, just don't cash it at $2,000. You want to cash it at 30 or 40 grand. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful night. www.teaserking.com. Again, $100 for all the bowls, $200 for all the bowls and all the pros through the end of the year. I asked my IT guy to put it up, but he hasn't done it yet. So he does have a real job besides mine. So mine's like this much of his time. All right, everybody. Have a great day, and good luck to you.